it was it was a little it was a little weird for me, and only because I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't it wasn't for me. So, and when I say it wasn't for me, it clearly wasn't for me. Like when I was listening to it, I'm like, I don't need to be taught this. This is not for me.
Right.
This feels like it's for a white person, you know? And honestly, what I love about what you said so far is that, hey, you said, this is not what I'm here to do. This is what this is for. And then more importantly, you're willing to reach out and talk to someone and have conversations like this, having this dialogue and bringing people into your work process. One, I think it enriches the experience and makes this more of a collaborative process. And I think that's okay. You know what I mean? I think the biggest thing is a lot of times you'll see like white dialect coaches that are going to tell Black people, hey, this is how you're going to talk in this. It's one thing if the entire cast who happens to be Black needs to talk the exact same way, but you're pretty much telling me I now again have a white person telling me how to talk. We were taught this language hundreds of years ago. There's got to be some reverence, some space made for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you accept the challenge, you know, it's a muddy topic, but the most important things that we're having dialogue about is that we're having a conversation about it, and this right here feels great.
Oh, great, good. Well, I'm glad about that. And you know, and also at the same time, you know, it's important that this not be just a Hail Mary, you know, in terms of like, you see, I did the interview, I had the conversation, and now I can go about my business having done my bit. It's like, no. How do you apply this? You know, what was my work going forward? And I think we've established at least two takeaways, which is one, if I'm going to impose a Black character on a neutral, a non-race specific character, okay, why do I think that's important for the story? And is it really my place to add to the story or modify the story if really what I'm doing is telling somebody's story that they've written down? Probably not.
Right, and the other thing to think about is when you think about creating through an equity lens, I try to approach it through an intersectional equity lens. So we're talking about race right now, and primarily talking about vernacular, but what about when we're imitating, like you said earlier, imitating feminine voices? Are we imitating women? Are we imitating queer men, or that might have more of a feminine way of speaking? Like, just really thinking about what, not necessarily what harm we might be doing, but that type of vernacular that has been used to cause harm. And I think it's really important that an actor knows that before they dive into the work. That way they have a clear understanding of the power of intention and the power of words more than anything else. I think that's ultimately what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah. Boy, it's
ongoing. I have work to do, you know.
But yeah, no, I mean, but it's intense because you know, at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I want to just deliver product, and I'm on the clock, you know, doing this.
Right.
But you know, if I'm dedicated enough, and do I really want to pledge this? Yes, I want to pledge this. If I'm dedicated enough to look up how to pronounce things in terms of vocabulary, if I'm dedicated enough to look at the book arc, if I'm dedicated enough to you know, learn about the characters based on what the author is telling me and work their voices, then there's room for taking a look into the background of where characters that I really don't have a cultural kinship with, I hope I'm saying that right, that I really don't share a culture with, and to just familiarize myself with that, and make some specific choices as to what that character is bringing in there, because in a subtle way it will affect things. Yeah, one other question I want to ask you operationally, James. One of the things that I'm learning in terms of being a good ally is, first of all, there are 1,000,001 ways to be a good ally. a million and one opportunities to help out. But one is to give more work opportunities to Black, to BIPOC. And in the audiobook industry, there is this thing called dual narration. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It happens most often in romance novels where you'll have, and I, by the way, love narrating romance novels. They
Okay.
are a gift from audiobook heaven for a narrator's career, because they're serialized, the characters are vivid, they're written to be, you know, very engaging reads. It's beautiful stuff. And I had never actually read a romance novel until I'd been paid to, but you know, the rest is history.
Nice.
But you know, in romance novels, sometimes an author will have chapters that are narrated in first person by men, and some chapters that are narrated first person by women. What the author will sometimes want to do is hire a dual narrator team and have the man read the male chapters and the woman read the female chapters. This can be a little problematic because then the woman is reading the female chapters, but the man's character is coming up in those female chapters. So now you've got the woman's interpretation of the man's voice and the man's and it can get muddy. However, there was a book that I was reading the manuscript of, and it didn't end up being a project that I ended up doing, but it was about a white man who is learning about his whiteness in these times. And he's talking with a lot of his Black friends, associates, and new folks. And my thought was, if I were to take this project on, would this be a case where I would strongly suggest to the author a dual narration, or a narration where a Black actor is splicing in those voices? What do you think of that?